Okay, so welcome to the Node.js and API team meeting for April 6, 2020. We'll follow our standard approach of looking at what we have in the milestone. But before we do that, does anybody have any announcements or other information that they'd like to share? If not, okay, I'm going to find the right milestone and share. Okay. So the first one we have in the list is the next Node Addon API release. Nicola, do you know how we're doing on that?
I think that yeah, I'm working on the 6 to 8, and I don't know if Gabriel ended with my comment, my review comment on on his last PR. Yeah,
this one or a different one?
Yeah. This is mine podcast, and I'm just ending the work, and later or tomorrow I will push the new things.
Okay, now there was just the one question there about a prototype argument.
Yeah, I'm trying to do this, but yeah, I have to think how.
Okay, so you're working on that. Okay.
Yeah. But this is not a blocking paracast, and maybe it could be moved on possibly, and yeah, in this list, and it's not a block. It's only a new API that yeah, it depends on all what we did in our last podcast that introduced the breakage. Yeah, so this this new method use only method that we already introduced now.
Okay.
So it's not blocking paracast.
Okay, so basically, like this one, we could take out of the release if we thought. Maybe we should change that to a edit. Let's just 628, so we could like put it down here.
Yes.
Basically, if it's ready in time, it's good. Otherwise,
yeah.
Oops. What did I do there? I didn't quite. I thought I'd done that.
Says the content you are editing has changed.
Okay.
I think you need to refresh before you.
I think I got it to work.
And there is the last paracast.
This one or this one?
Yeah, the last one.
Okay.
It's the first in the list. Yeah, here.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe for me it's all.
Okay, so you think it looks good? Just gonna add that, and so if we open that one. Okay, so it looks. I guess you had a couple comments, but.
Yeah, I just asked to remove the comments because now they are not necessary.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
and that's it. I can approve, and we can move on.
Okay, So that one just needs a small tweak and then it's ready to go.
Yeah.
That's good. So then this one,
I think this one should be good to go because I did change the guards to say an API greater than 5.
yep. And there's a few outdated. I think there was still, but there were, yeah, okay. So you did update those then, yeah. So I was good after that. So I think you could be good to land. Okay, so we're getting close, and then this one we just need to find places that we document which Node.js versions. So that's just a matter of taking a look. I think otherwise looks like we're making progress. Anything more we should talk about on the next release? No, okay, let's flip back. The SQL8 port, any update on that, Jim?
Yes. So the issue we've been having that I've been seeing has been with the threading model, which was originally based directly on libuv.
Right.
And so there's an implementation that uses the NAPI wrapper for the threading. When I reverted back to directly using libuv, all of the issues I was seeing went away. So I'm focusing now on just getting something landed that's based on NAPI, and then we can revisit the threading model after we get that initial PR landed. I'm not at this point certain whether it's in the NAPI wrapper or in the code itself, because the threading model is spread entirely throughout. It's not like centralized in one location.
Okay.
So it could easily be one line of code that's not the way it needs to be.
Right.
But anyway, I'm focusing now on getting the basic functionality. I'm seeing CI issues, but the vast majority of them are build issues. So I've got to see what that's all about. It'll run under certain versions of Windows, but not other versions. It's weird, but I feel good. I feel good for the first time in a long time that we might actually be able to get this done.
Okay. And so when you say landed, that's like landed in a branch in the SQL8 repo or our own branch?
Well, I'll do a PR. I've got a fork going, so
okay.
I'll put a PR directly onto the Node SQL8 project.
Right. I guess it's but into like a branch, or because I'm just thinking like using an API with while still using libuv does have some risk in terms of you're now you're not going to get those breaking like it no longer checks the node
right
engine version.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so SQL8 3 is built on Node pregip, and so what we'll do is we'll still continue to use the old signatures based on the Node version and the libuv version. So it will still have, we won't have ABI stability.
Right.
But the other issue that's come up is they want context awareness, and so at least that'll give us an avenue to that. And I don't think the libuv thing is going to be. We'll see. It's going to be pretty. Those changes are going to be pretty focused, and I think given time that can be resolved.
Right.
In time. So
yeah, I know. I wasn't thinking we couldn't. I was just thinking like, are they going to want to update what they're shipping before that part is in too?
I'm not sure what you mean, Michael.
Well, like you were saying, you're going to PR in, you're going to try and land something which it uses NAPI but still uses libuv directly, right?
Correct. Yes.
So I was just wondering if they'd want to ship that, or was it that they'd want to wait until they got the libuv part changed?
That could be. That could be, Michael. Yeah, that could be.
Okay.
I'll obviously coordinate with those guys.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. But sounds good. Sounds like you've made some progress. And
yes.
okay.
Yep.
sorry to interrupt. I was just looking at this removing the guards thing, and it turns out that BigInt is not the only one that has to have guards changed to a NAPI version greater than 5. It's also the BigInt typed array stuff. So basically, this expands the scope of the PR from just BigInt to just removing this whole concept of guarding with Node major version, because all the ones that we're guarding with Node major version are really just BigInt related. So BigInt itself and typed array. So I'm gonna change that PR significantly. So then maybe even change the commit comment and everything. So that I think needs another round of review at that point.
Okay.
Okay.
Just let us know.
Yep.
Sounds good. The next issue then is transfer the API tutorials to the OpenJS Foundation.
Yes, so I am still working on my survey. I have a question for the group. If we look at the current tutorials, they're actually deployed on an actual website with HTML pages and CSS and all of that stuff. So for this project, as a group, are we open to, say, using GitHub Pages to recreate a new tutorial site based on Markdown, or are we going to stick primarily with Markdown, more plain vanilla Markdown, and not have a separate, say website?
I have a preference. In my opinion, we can use GitHub Pages, but continue to render the Markdown file.
Okay.
So, yeah. We can use any system like Gatsby or similar, and statics, statics site, but I prefer to render the Markdown, because we can move the Markdown in any place easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the future, we if we want, we can continue to maintain the Markdown and change maybe all the system that we use to expose the Markdown.
Mm-hmm.
This is my idea.
Okay. So maybe as a first step would be to get the Markdown over. Is that what we're thinking, maybe?
I guess, like, when you're thinking GitHub Pages, did we have an idea of, like, would it be, say, in the Node Addon API?
I would
GitHub,
put it
like,
on
for that repo, or somewhere else?
I would put it on the examples repo. It would be,
Okay.
because that's where all the Markdown's going to be anyway. So it would be, we would have our, as Gabriel said, we'd still have our current Markdown pages, but we could put a link to a static site that's hosted by the GitHub Pages for that project. And the thing is we may, with the tutorials over time, we may want to take more of a topic-oriented approach as opposed to a tool-oriented approach. So we may want to add tutorials that say, here's a particular problem you need to solve. Here are the collection of tools that you use together to solve that problem. And that's Markdown that may not be associated, say, with a particular tool or particular example. And so the process of generating the pages, whether it's Gatsby or another tool, could be automated through CI, say when PRs are merged, that sort of thing.
That's certainly like the Node.js website, the current version and the new one. I think that, that's along the lines of what they do. You land a PR and it auto generates from whatever you've updated into the site that's published.
Right. So perhaps we want to look at the tools that are already being used.
Yeah, or the like the Node.js.dev, they're looking at
Okay.
newer tools.
Okay. Is that another team, Michael?
Like the website, like let's see, there's a website redesign team. Let's see, guys, what's is it? Web. I'm just trying to think what the repo is. Node.js repositories. Okay, web.
Yeah, they use
Website
Gatsby.
redesign. So this team. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
this group that's working on that.
Okay. I'll take a look at that and see if there may be some synergy for that
Sure.
project also.
Yep.
Okay.
And Jim, what I can see is that Node.js.dev use Gatsby.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So yeah, if you go on the repo, yeah, you can see, and maybe we can use this pattern, no, the same approach.
Right.
So yeah.
It has
Okay.
been underway for quite a long time, so I might I'm not sure we want to tie deployment of the examples to the website redesign, but using similar technology would make some sense.
Yeah, perfect.
And then if
Yeah.
we wanted to move it into that once it comes out or something, it wouldn't be too hard, I don't think.
Well, and we could be a test bed also and say, okay, this worked and this didn't work.
Right. Another
So,
independent.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. This has been really helpful, and I'll continue working on this.
Yeah, and so you're thinking it's deployed in the examples, and yeah, I think that's actually a good fit in terms of, a learning resource which could cover the examples plus then some workshops you can go through.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
sounds good.
Okay, great.
Okay, let's go back. So the next thing is any issues that we've seen reported on Addon API or NAPI, any that people want to bring to the top of the list?
I have one. Let me see if I can find the number. It's right here in the core repo 32615.
Okay, let me find it. Issues is an issue?
Yes, 32615.
Okay. Just gonna click on this one and then switch 32615.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it looks like when you call the thread safe function from the main thread and the queue is full, then that deadlocks the thread safe function because it waits for you make a blocking call to the thread safe function from the main thread, right? And that obviously causes a deadlock because it's going to wait for a queue slot to become available, but the thread responsible for making queue slots available is the main thread.
Right, the only one that could possibly empty them.
Exactly. Yes. So
yeah.
so then this is a bug. Well, it's not a bug, but it's kind of undocumented and improperly handled. So so basically, there are two solutions here. Either we synchronously remove an item from the queue and then insert the item in question, or we return nappy queue full as if it were a non-blocking call. Just as we would on any thread if it were a non-blocking call, and then we document that this is a special case, that because normally if you make a blocking call, it cannot return nappy queue full, right? Because it's non-blocking, so it'll stay locked until a queue slot becomes available. But I think it's sensible to make a special case for the main thread and to document that is a special case, because right now that would change the behavior from it being a deadlock to it being an error report. And we can document that it makes sense to throw an error and that it does return an error in that case, but only from the main thread.
Right, I think
so
an
as to avoid
error,
a deadlock.
I'd agree with an error versus, because I think you said originally like it could return saying, Like, as long as it returns and says, no, this is an error, and maybe we can define a new error code even.
Yeah, that's another option, is to define a new error code instead of reusing nappy full. But yeah, so yeah, that's yeah.
Because if we use nappy full, like then it's like, well, wait a second, but I'm asked to be blocked and wait, right? Whereas if it actually says, you know, if it's nappy would deadlock or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Either way, to synchronously remove an item and then insert this item, the person who originally posted it gave a good reason why we shouldn't do that, and that's because removing an item causes a call into JavaScript, which itself may cause an item to be inserted synchronously.
Sure.
So then that could be any number of recursions. Might even cause a loop, like an infinite loop that will eventually run out of stack.
Right.
So then it would be easiest to just return an error.
Yeah,
and then
I like that idea.
Yeah. So about this new error, we can then document that it's only returned if you call the thread save function from the main thread and the queue is full.
Right. Otherwise, you will block, right, and wait till there's space.
Yeah. And I think it's good. Except, it would be semver minor, because we would be adding a new status. We are using nappy status for all this, so this would add a new status.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, it's not breaking in the sense of you would have deadlocked. So there's no case where you want to be deadlocked.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We are breaking people a lot less than we were before.
Yeah.
That's basically the upshot. Okay, so then this entails two things. We need to be able to detect that this is the main thread. So that needs to be added to the implementation of thread safe function, and then after that, it becomes pretty easy to just throw this new error code.
Yeah, basically,
or
like
rather
if
return.
it's full, and then we check it. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So before we call cond wait, we say, you know, is this the main thread? Then don't call cond wait, but rather return. So it's basically go into like non-blocking mode, except with a different error code. That's all.
Yep. Okay.
So yeah, that's the only one I had to report on, and this seems like a real issue. So needs a fixing.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a programming. It's a bug in the program, but it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the original point poster does point out that this only happens if you call from the main thread. So if you call from any other thread, then it works fine. So it's a particularity of their application that it also calls from the main thread. So, but yeah, it's good to handle the case.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think we have anything else there. Tag new.
I can't remember. Did you say that you would return this error only if it was blocking and the queue was full? Or
yeah, exactly.
And it was on the main. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, because otherwise, if the queue is full, that's fine. You can block all you want if you're not calling from the main thread, because the main thread will eventually free up the queue and signal.
Okay. Thanks.
So on thread safe related news, I just tried to build this. I tried to build a Node Addon API just to run a test before I send the changes that also include the rest of the guards, and I'm having a compilation issue for which I'm about to file an issue, because might be because I have like a new version of GCC or something. So just wanted to have everybody have a heads up that it does not build on my system right now, and it's got a really weird error message. So
okay, let's just. I'm just going to look at CI just to make sure. Okay, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Is this related to it at all?
Let me see.
So we seem to have landed
Okay.
something which is failing across some platforms.
Yes, this might actually be related. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, my error messages are slightly different, but basically in the same vein. Okay, so we need to do a bisect here, see which one
Yeah.
caused that.
Yeah, something that landed recently has done that. I wonder we can look at probably one of those ones that compiled fine on some platform. I don't think that's going to be it. That can't be it either. So.
The last two are only documentation. So, yeah, even if, yeah, the last three comments. For,
Maybe that, yeah, async
yeah.
progress queue worker. That's like the last source.
Right.
Yeah, that may well be it.
I guess when did it actually land is the question, because that's more recent though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it could be that we upgraded our infrastructure to a new compiler, which no longer likes something that we wrote. I'm not sure if
That's
that's
possible too, but I don't know. That's possible. But yeah, we guess we'll have to figure that out because yeah, it looks like we've been broken for a little while. It looks like I can't see.
Yeah. Ooh, wow. Yes, we have.
Yeah, the last week sometime. I can't tell beyond that, but some of
Interestingly,
these, like,
we're fine. We're fine on OS 10.
yeah. Well, it's basically async progress worker base, so that looks fairly related. Just something, probably something where I should have gone back and checked that after it landed, because it's the compilers probably on some platforms are just pickier or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's good once you open an issue that we make sure we look at that. Okay, let's look at Node Addon API.
Yeah,
Okay,
we have.
you just opened it. Okay.
Yeah, that's just.
Yeah. Otherwise, I don't see any new issues since last week.
No.
Anything else that people would like to talk about, or?
Yes. So I've been working on the pull request for the let's say function context, and I am stuck. I'm having trouble wrapping the call.js function to I'm not even sure how to explain where I'm stuck. So basically, what I need to pass to the nappy create thread safe function is a static callback, but the callback that's given to new is not static. So I'm not sure how I can properly wrap that. I don't know if that's the correct problem or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. We have examples of that, of how to do that. Basically, the idea is that you pass the this pointer as like the data item, but of course you want to preserve the data and the context, right?
Correct. But like the data in the context, so the context, yes, yeah, I do want to preserve those, right?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so you can't. Yeah, you don't have enough pointers. Yeah. Yeah, you
Well,
lose. Well, actually, let
no,
me think.
no, I don't need to preserve the data in the context
Which signature is it?
because
Just I can open it up.
let's see, in nappy.h, if we go to line 2236.
Okay. Oh, 2236. Sorry, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Right. And so basically what we want to do is transform this to be Node Addon API env and function, and then context and data be templated, right? But this callback actually comes in as a parameter to new in new on 2222.
Right.
Right, and the new would be templated as well.
Wait a second.
So the reason, okay, so the reason it's not listed here is because this is the old thread safe function API where you pass the callback to each call, right? But now what we want to change is have the call.js be a parameter, right? So if it might be easier if we go to the pull request. Let me see.
Number is that?
It's the one in the yellow, work in progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want this to be like a member function rather than a static member function of the subclass. You want to be able to accept a member function of the subclass rather than a static member function. Is that correct?
Right, because the call.js is member data, like it's data that's coming in. Yeah. But we can't pass a member callback to nappy create that say function.
No, that's right.
I tried that and I got into that issue.
Yeah.
So is this the new one or?
Sorry. Let's and it would be in nappy inline H.
Oh. Okay.
Line 4355. Right. So right now that call.js.cb,
this one,
is the new parameter, right? And we're trying to figure out a way how we can wrap that.
My first reaction is that you could pass it. Yeah, actually, you can probably do that with either a member function or a static member function. I think you can pass it as a template parameter, and then you don't need to wrap it. And it's just a matter of how you call it. So if you pass it as a template, because this is static, right? This can be statically resolved, right? What that function will be. It doesn't have to be stored at runtime, right? So when you build the code, it'll always go back to the same actual function when it actually runs, right? So then the way you would do it is you would pass it as a template parameter rather than as a function parameter, and then then inside, and then you would create a wrapper, right? And inside the wrapper, you would just call this this function that was passed as a template parameter. And the way you call the function depends on whether you accept a member function or whether you accept a static member function. If you accept a static member function, then your job is a little bit easier. But if you accept a regular member function, then you have to pass the instance to the callback. So you have to the actual callback that you give to the core. So then you have to either use, well, you can't use the data, right? Because that's void star and that's per call. You would have to wrap the context. So if you don't want to wrap either because you want to maintain transparency, then you have no choice but to accept the static member function here. And then you have to document that your class accepts a static member function. So, and then you leave it up to the application to store the instance in one of their parameters in an application specific way. Or you give up the idea that you can you can call it both both in a raw fashion and in a, well, wait a minute, no, let me think. Wait a second. You don't sacrifice that. So if we wrap the context, right? If the context pointer is no longer transparent to the caller, right? Then you can still call nappy call thread safe function directly, because the call.js callback will have been that was given to core when the function was created is the wrapper, right? So there is no way that they can change the call.js after the thread safe function is created, so that they might receive our wrapped data and not know what to do with it and segfault, right? Because you can't change.
If the context is wrapped, then the call to get context would need to return the real context
to
from
the application.
Right, which then would mean that you would not be able to use the underlying raw function of nappy get thread safe context.
Okay, that you wouldn't be able to use. You're right, but you'd be able to use nappy call thread safe function, but you wouldn't be able to use the get context. You're right. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to use that. Yeah, if we don't wrap the context. Okay. Okay, so then the only way would be, I believe, to pass the call.js as a template parameter and have it required to be a static function. That's the only solution then. We don't have enough pointers, basically.
Right. Okay. I think that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense.
If it's a static function, you could still do, I think, as you said before, Gabriel, then use the parameters that it's passed to end up calling something on an instance if you wanted to.
But that would have to be done in the application, because the application would have to choose to store the instance pointer inside the context.
Exactly.
We cannot do it on their behalf because we wish the context to be usable both in a raw fashion and in a wrapped fashion.
Yeah. But it's doable. It's just what sounds like. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's the only way out for that.
Okay, I will try that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay. Any other issues or things we should look at?
I have a curiosity to ask, if I can.
Yep.
So if I have a Node.js installation that usually is built using a compiler, no? For example, in Windows, Node.js is built using Microsoft compiler. But if I will build my native add-on using ZCC GNU compiler on Windows, my native add-on will continue to work or not?
It should. It should, because I mean, as long as they're ABI compatible, right? And they should be, because I mean, you know, there are standards, right? So there's like C++ has a standard, right? C++11, and if the Microsoft compiler and GCC both adhere to C++11 as a standard, then they should work together. I mean, yeah, you're taking a chance, but it should be okay, because the name mangling and all that should be okay. The calling convention should be the same. I think
we
it
don't
should
even
work.
depend on the C++ naming, right? Because we only export C symbols.
Yeah, because if you use an API, yes,
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to try.
What about standard libraries? Would they be using the same standard? Is that an issue?
But those would be linked, right? And they are resolved against the add-on. So those are local to the add-on. They do not influence the interaction between Node and the add-on, because we never pass any standard library stuff to Node, because the interface is C, right? So if you're talking about like the STL, then
Right.
we only use those internally, right? We don't actually pass them to Node. So that there is no chance that you pass a pointer to, let's say, a standard vector to Node.js, and Node.js is a different implementation of standard vector, and therefore it crashes. That doesn't happen, because we don't pass pointers to standard anything to Node.js. We just pass plain C pointers. So if you wanted to use standard vector in your implementation, you would first have to get a plain C pointer to the underlying structure, and then pass that to Node.js, and that would be a plain C pointer on all sides as far as Node.js is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be okay.
All right.
Yeah, in my case, it's a C code, so it's not C++, and I have to try, but
I think it should be okay. I mean, if standards mean anything, then you should be okay. I mean, let me put it to you that way.
There are some, like, you still need compatible options potentially, like link options, because I know there's different, like on Windows, I think like different threading model kind of options. I forget the names of them. So I think you might still need some compatibility on that front, but not necessarily related to the compiler. You could do the same incompatibility with the same compiler too.
Okay.
That sounds like fun.
Okay. I will try, and maybe I will write an article about this.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other issues? No? Okay. Well then, thanks for everybody for coming this week, and we'll talk to everybody in GitHub and next week.
Okay.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.